Hello students, welcome back to my channel. I am Monica Madhu, senior most faculty in biological science. So in this series of videos we are going to see a preparation plan for NEET examination. So what do NEET contain? NEET is an examination which you are going to write after completion of your 12th standard, nothing but intermediate. Okay, so NEET especially include a science subject, right? NEET especially include science subject. In this you have, in science subject you have a physics, chemistry and biological science is nothing but botany and zoology, right? So if you come to our channel, in this, through this channel you are going to see biology and zoology topics which are included in your NEET syllabus, which is prescribed in your NEET syllabus. Okay, so we will try to finish all the topics which is related to botany and zoology, right? So before entering into botany and zoology, first let me give a short understanding about NEET examination, right? So NEET is a examination, as I already said, it is written after completion of your 12th standard. So you have to finish your 12th standard, then you are eligible to write to appear NEET examination. So NEET examination is written to get a course, to get a placement in MBBS. Okay, it is just a type of course, but it is not a job opportunity, right? So you have to do some 7 or 6 years of course after completion of your intermediate, after writing your NEET examination, right? So a complete explanation about a NEET, when it is when the notification comes and when you have to apply, what is the procedure, everything I will explain in some other video. But today it's a video which is related to basics about our NEET examination. Okay, NEET is nothing but it have a biological science. Biological science is nothing but a botany, zoology, and then physical science is nothing but physics and chemistry. If you focus on intermediate 2 years course textbooks, that is not at all enough. You must have some basic foundation to get a clarity about your intermediate. Okay, so if you are well and good in your basics, then there is no issue. But whereas if you are preparing seriously for you to crack in NEET examination, you have to study from 6th standard, at least from 6th standard. So in the 6th class, I will give a clarity. From 1st class to 5th class you will study a topic called EVS. What is that? It is EVS, right? From 1st class to 5th class you will study science subject in the form of EVS. EVS is nothing but environmental science, where you will have a natural science and social studies included, right? So whereas from 6th standard to 7th standard, a 2 years of period where you will have a science subject as a separate subject from social studies, right? What is it? That is science. Okay, so when you enter into 8th standard, from 8th to 10th class you will have a subject called biological science and physical science separately, right? So science is divided into 2 parts again, that is biological science and physical science. Okay, biological science and physical science. So in biological science again it is subdivided into botany and zoology, but up to your 10th standard you will have only a single textbook, right? You will have only a single textbook in which plants and animals both are included. So okay, here you will see plants and then you will see animals and a little bit part of microorganisms also. What is that? Microorganisms also. So totally you have 3 branches which is included under biological science. After that, if you see physical science, you have 2 branches. You have 2 subjects. If you take, it is physics and the second one is chemistry, right? So if you are well and good, if you are good in all these basics, from 6th standard, from 6th standard to 10th standard, whatever these topics are there, whatever the textbooks which you have, if you are well and good in this, then start preparation, then start learning the matter which is there in intermediate. So that will be useful to you. Otherwise most of the questions are based on 10th, because these are the basics. Okay. So next thing, if you come to our topic, so as I already said, I will take all the NEET classes. NEET classes is nothing but the syllabus which is included in NEET. Okay, so especially as a biology faculty, I will take biological science. Biological science is nothing but biology and zoology related topics. Okay, so intermediate biology and zoology, completely 4 textbooks like. Okay, so those all will be taught by me. Okay, so next, whereas before entering into that, first you must have a clarity about what the earth is. These are very basics before entering into a science subject. Okay, so children, if you see, okay, when coming to NEET preparation, as I already said, you must have a basics of 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th, then you have to start your intermediate, right? So what I am planning to do is to make your examination clear. To make your examination easy, I will take all the basics, I will teach all the basics, start from your 8th standard. As from 8th standard we have biological science, and I am going to teach you botany and zoology classes. So I am planning to start from 8th basics, from 8th class, 8th, 9th and 10th, whatever the botany and zoology topics which are included in your NEET examination, first I will start from your 8th class. Then it is followed by it is like a ascending order, from 8th class, 8th to 9th, 9th to 10th, 10th to intermediate 1st and 2nd year. So by which you can cover all the topics which is there in your NEET syllabus. Okay, so in the 8th class we have a chapter called what is science. Before entering into that what is science lesson, first you must understand something which is related to earth, because if you have some knowledge, basic knowledge about earth, then it will make you easy understand what the science is and why we have to learn about science. Okay, so if you see here, if you look at here, this is round, this is something like round spherical structure as I already mentioned on the board, and that is earth. Okay, it is well and good. Earth is a part of our solar system. Is a place where you find living organisms, where you find life which is existing, right? So why there is life, and what are the components which is supporting for a life. Okay, so before entering into that life and everything, first let us see what the earth is. So earth is a spherical in nature, you all knew it. Okay, next earth existed before 4.6 billion years ago itself. Earth has been existed. Okay, so earth has been existed and life gradually started existing on the earth, and then at last you can see now it's a modern period where you can see a complete human being who are doing some innovations and discoveries. Okay, so whereas coming to that earth, and whereas the earth which we are facing now, which we are seeing now, it has some problems also. So what is that, what are the changes which are taking place in these years? Okay, so that tells about science, that that everything tells in a science. Okay, so if you see earth have 3 layers. Earth have 3 layers: crust, mantle and core. What is that? Crust, mantle and core. So actually this is a topic which is there in your social studies, but you must have some basic knowledge about earth, as we are going to study about the living organisms which are present on earth. Okay, so at least minimum basic knowledge you must have. Whereas coming to, if you see earth, as I already mentioned here, earth has crust, mantle and core. Okay, so imagine that this is the core and this is a core is again divided into two parts, that is inner core and outer core. Inner core and outer core. Okay, so imagine it is a earth and this is the center part of the earth, and from the center part the first layer is called as inner core, and after the inner core you have outer core. Next to the outer core you have mantle. Mantle again it is of two types, two parts you can take. It is upper mantle and lower mantle. Upper mantle and lower mantle. Okay, next to that, upon a upper and lower mantle you will see one more layer and it is called as crust. Okay, so this is something which is related to earth. Up to here it's more than enough for you. Whereas coming to the next, on the surface of the earth we find three regions. On the surface of the earth we find three regions, and these three regions or else you can call them as layers also, and they are called as atmosphere. They are called as atmosphere, hydrosphere and biosphere. Okay, so mostly most of the students, they will start a topic from here. They will start preparation from here, because biology is nothing but bio is nothing but life is nothing but it is present in biosphere. So most of the students, they will start preparation from this biosphere, but if you don't understand how this biosphere is supported by some elements, and those elements are hydrosphere, and this biosphere is supported by atmosphere. Where we are living on earth. We are not individual. Yes, we are not individual, that we will prepare our own food and we will lead our life individually. No, we are depending on someone, we are depending on something. Okay, we are depending on some factors, and all those factors make these two layers. Okay, that is atmosphere and hydrosphere. So if you come to atmosphere, atmosphere is again classified into 5 parts. First one is exosphere, thermosphere, mesosphere, stratosphere and then troposphere. Okay, these 5 are the parts of atmosphere. Okay, so if you see, imagine that this is earth and this is the surface part of our earth, and this surface part of the earth, above the surface part you will see a area, and that is called atmosphere. Okay, above the surface part, above the earth surface you will see a part, and that is called atmosphere. And on the surface part, where we are living, where plants are existing, we are attached onto the, we are adhered to the ground surface of the earth. Okay, so it is called, that layer is called biosphere, and whereas beneath that biosphere is called as a hydrosphere, or else you can say biosphere is existing in atmosphere and biosphere is existing even in hydrosphere, aquatic organisms and the organism which is present in air. Okay, so here you must understand that atmosphere is divided into 5 parts, and whereas hydrosphere is the watery content, aquatic bodies comes under here, and biosphere is nothing but the living organisms which are existing in this region. Okay, this is if you imagine our past. Now tell me, are the life which is led by those people and the life which is leading by us and the life which is going to be led by some other in the future, is that same? No, it is not. It is completely changed, and the change is because of science and technology. Okay, and that is because of the knowledge of science. Okay, so that's the reason I have given this small introduction about science, because as a part of our earth, as a part of our universe, as we are living on the earth, first you must have a knowledge of how earth has existed, and what are the components which are present on earth, and how a living organism existed, how the living organism started its birth on the earth, and what are the changes which took place from past and up to now. So all this if you understand, so these all related in a topic, in a branch, and that branch is called as science. Let us see what the science is and how that science made our life easy. Science is a concerned human effort to understand better the history of human world. Science is a branch, it is a subject through which we can know what the human beings are, how they were in the past, and how and what are the scientific changes or innovations, discoveries has been taken place which made our life easy. Okay. So this is a general statement of science, whereas coming to it is a process of thinking. Science is not only a subject, it is a process of thinking, how we are thinking about our world, how we are thinking about ourselves, and what are the problems which we have related to science, then how we are thinking about it. All these comes under science, right? It is a process of thinking. Next, it is an organized study of knowledge which is based on experiments. So science is nothing but it is equal to experiment. So if we have any problem related to our environment, so what we do, we will solve those problems by performing some experiments. So science is a subject which have some experiments included in it. Next, it is a tool for searching truth of nature. Nature is nothing but, it is our atmosphere. Nature is nothing but biosphere. Nature is nothing but abiotic sphere. Everything, nature is nothing but everything which is surrounding to a human, which is surrounding to a living organism simply. So what it means, it is a tool. It is a tool, it is an equipment by which we can search truth of nature. Okay, so next thing, it is a way of exploring the world. It is a way of exploring the world is nothing but, if you observe our past science, our past world, and whereas at present now, so there is a drastic difference between that world and now. And the reason behind that is improvement or advanced discoveries of advanced innovations of science and technology, right? So here the way of exploring the world is nothing but, now if you see, if you take one example, like we have got many vaccines. So what is that vaccine discovery, what is the antibiotic discovery, all these are exploring the world. So some discoveries which is made, some innovations which is made to make a life of human or human being easy, so that is called as way of exploring the world. Okay, if you see the meaning of science, before entering into meaning of science, first let me give a clarity about science. Science is a Latin word. What is that? Science is a Latin word. Okay, so this science is a Latin word. It originated from a word called scientia. It originated from a word called scientia. Scientia is nothing but knowledge. It is nothing but knowing, experience, or expertness, or experiments. Okay, so all these is an example. All these are synonyms for scientia. A very simple way, in an examination point of view, you have to remember that science is a Latin word which means scientia, and the meaning of scientia in a general terminology, and that is knowledge. So don't forget these. So this is a basic first point for your NEET examination. Next, coming to origin. Origin of science. Actually science have no proper origin. So you cannot say that from this particular thing science has been existed. No, science is everywhere, right? So there is no particular origin for science, right? So science has no single origin, rather systematic method emerged gradually over the course of time. So if you see, in the past we have only few branches which is related to science, but whereas now if you see, there are hundreds of branches which is related to single science subject, right? So even maths also included under science, even social studies is also included or a part of our science. Okay, so there is no a particular origin for science subject. Next, definitions. If you come to general definition, or if you come to a definitions of science, you can observe here you will find some words. If you solve these words, it is a definition for our science subject. So what is that? Let us see. Observation, identification, description, experimentation, investigation, theoretical explanations of natural phenomena. So, what's the meaning of all these words? Let me give a clarity. Observation. What's the meaning of observation? Observation is nothing but you are observing the world through your senses, right? So, by observing you will come to know some idea about nature, right? So, that is observation. So, science is nothing but an observation. Next, identification. You will identify if a animal is there and if there is a plant. So, by seeing the physical morphological structure, you will come to identify that this group of organisms comes to plant A, and these group of organisms are related to, which are moving from one place to another. So, by seeing those you can identify, that these group of organisms are related to animals, right? Next, description. So, you by seeing the morphological structure itself, you will give some description about the organism. So, science is also a description. Next, it has some description included in it. Next, as I already said, science is nothing but performing many experiments. So, by experiments we will come to some conclusion. So, that is experimentation. Next, investigation. What we are going to do, we will pose some questions to ourselves. So, by posing those questions, we will try to solve those questions by doing some investigation, by performing some enquiries, right? So, that is investigation. Next, theoretical explanation of natural phenomena. Theoretical explanation is nothing but just theories, principles, laws which are made on science. Okay, so who will do all this? Do a normal common people will perform all these activity? No, not at all. A scientist, a person who do all these activities are called as scientist. Okay, so what they do, if there is any problem in front of you, so some scientists come and then they will do all these activities. What is that? First they will observe, they will identify, they will give some descriptions, they will experiment, they will do some experiment, investigation and all these. So, simply we can say performing all these activities is called as science. Okay, so if in your examination if they ask definitions, you can say science is a process of thinking. It is an organized study of knowledge which is based on experiments. Next, it is a tool for searching truth of nature. Okay, next it is a way of exploring the world. So, these all are the common definitions, general meanings and origin of our science. So, in our textbook we have some activities which is given in our first unit, but as a part of our NEET examination there is no need of explaining all those, but just you have to understand what a procedure which is followed by a scientist, and the procedure which is followed by a scientist to perform an activity, to perform an experiment is called as scientific method. What it is? It is called as scientific method. So, what is this scientific method actually is? Scientific method. So, if you see here, the process of objectively establishing facts through testing and experimentation, through performing some tests, performing some experiments, by collecting some information, by following some past records, by seeing the past records, what we will do? We will come to a conclusion, right? So, that is called as a scientific method. Who will perform this scientific method? Who will use this scientific method? Mean the scientists. There are different branches in science and there are different scientists which are related to different branches, and all those scientists will use a method called as scientific method. Okay, so there is one point which is not included in the textbook, but which is very important as a point of your NEET examination, and that is Sir Francis Bacon. Sir Francis Bacon, he is a scientist and he invented this scientific method. Okay, so please remember this point, note it as a highlight, that Sir Francis Bacon invented scientific method. Okay, so before entering into this Sir Francis Bacon, so now let us see steps which are included in scientific method. Okay, so totally we have 7 in our scientific method. Few they will say it is 5, but whereas it will be easier for you to understand total 7 types of scientific methods. Okay, so 7 steps of a scientific method. So if steps which are included in scientific method. So if you see here, identification of the problem, defining of the problem, third observation and asking questions is the third step, forming hypothesis, planning an experiment, conduct an experiment and drawing conclusion or result. After steps which are included in scientific method, we are going to see a next topic which is included in our lesson, and that is process skill, reading to learn and writing to communicate. What is this process skill? Process here itself, it means a procedure. Process is nothing but procedure. Skill, okay, so procedure which is followed to perform an activity. Okay, so okay, we have listed all these steps. So this process skill which is included in planning an experiment. Okay, planning an experiment, what you will do, you will plan some experiment. Okay, directly you won't plan anything. By seeing your situation, by seeing your problem, you will select one of the technique to perform an activity. Okay, so while you are performing an activity, you will do some procedure, right? So that procedure is called as process skill. So what are the steps which are included, or what are the points which to be considered while we are doing an activity? And like observe, compare. So when we are doing some activity, when we are doing an experiment, you have to observe, you have to compare what the present result and what is the past result. Okay, next you will classify. Classify is nothing but differentiating. Okay, next you will measure by using some equipments like test tube, conical flask. Okay, you will use some measuring cylinder. There are many science equipments. By using all those equipment, what you will do, you will measure. Next you will record your observations. So the observations which you got, you will record them, you will write them. Next you will display. Display is nothing but it might be in the form of figures, it might be in the form of table or form. Okay, so that is display. Next, use of models. Use of models is nothing but you can use some specimens, you can use some plant, you can use some animal organs. So whatever might be the model which you are using, so that is it is nothing, simply you can call it as models which are used in an activity. Next, predict. Predict is nothing but prediction. So by considering the past observations, you will predict something. You will say that this might be happened. So that is called prediction. Next, you will infer. Next, hypothesis. Already about hypothesis I already gave in the steps. Next thing, plan or conduct an experiment. At last you will conduct an experiment. You will plan out and then you will conduct an experiment. Okay, so this is a process skill which is there in the textbook. Next, it is followed by reading to learn and writing to communicate. So now reading and learning, why we have used these two skills in an experiment, in a science subject. Reason behind that is, once if you see, before conducting an experiment, directly we won't attack on an experiment. What we will do, we will search something which is related to an experiment, right? We will get that information by some books, or else you will ask someone. Okay, so or else you will search in a Google. So all these comes under reading to learn. Why you are reading? To learn. So this reading to learn have 3 stages. First one is before reading, during reading and after reading. So before reading is nothing but if you have a textbook in in your hand directly. If you are going on reading, there will be no sense at all. You have to read by understanding the words and the meanings of those words, right? So here if you come to reading to learn, what you will do, you will put a dictionary in front of you, right? Or else you will use a help of a search websites to know the meaning, proper meaning, right? So those all comes under before reading, during reading, and after reading. What you will do, so whatever the information which you got, you will make a short points of those. Okay, so that is before reading, after reading, and during reading. Okay, next after reading, what you will do, you will start writing them. Okay, now imagine that you have performed your activity, right? After performing an activity, you got a result or you got a conclusion, and what you will do with that conclusion, you will write that. Okay, how you are writing and why you are writing, you will write to communicate with others. Okay, you are writing to communicate the result with others. So how you will write and what are the steps which are included in it? If you see, informative writing, narrative writing, and expressive writing. Here itself the meaning is, if you understand informative is nothing but in this type of writing you will give some information as a part of communication. You are giving an information to the people. Okay, so that is informative. And the next one is narrative. Narrative is nothing but describing someone. Describing a story is an example for narrative. So not only story here, whatever which you are describing, so that comes under narrative writing. When you come to expressive, you are expressing what the activity is, what happened, your everything, whatever you are writing, so that comes under expressive. You are expressing your emotions, right? Your practicality, you are expressing your ideas. So all those comes under expressive writing. Okay, so this is the end of your lesson 1. So children, I want to give a clarity that a complete first lesson is not at all useful. Just focus on these points which I have written on the board. If you follow, and please maintain a book and copy all the key points which I have mentioned, right? So for a quick recap, let us recap everything now. I have started a first topic of your 8th class biology, and that is what is science. So before entering into science, first you must have a clarity that what is science. Science is a concerned human effort to understand better the human world. So the world in which we are living, if you want to live properly, if you want to be a part of the world, then you must understand what the world is, how it was, how it is, and how it will be in the future. Okay, so to make a clarity about our world, we must have a branch that is called as science. Okay, so next, science is a process of thinking. It is a organized study to get knowledge. Next, it is a tool for searching a truth of nature, and it is a way of exploring the world. Okay, next, if you see meaning, it is very important, children. Science is a word which came from Latin word, and the word is scientia, and the meaning of that scientia is knowledge. What is that? It is knowledge. Okay, so don't forget this word, it is very important as a part of your examination. Next, after that, you have to see a origin. There is no proper one origin for science subject. This is a combination of all subjects. Okay, next, definition. If you see, if you have a clarity about all these words which I have mentioned now on the board, so if you understand what this is, then you will get a definition. So whatever the question they may ask, it is, if these words are included, it is called as a science. Next, scientific method, a process which is followed by scientists to perform an activity. So that process is called as simply scientific method, and this scientific method was first invented by Sir Francis Bacon. So he is called as father of scientific method. Okay, don't forget this point. Next, there are some 7 steps which are included in scientific method, like identification of problem, defining the problem, observation and asking questions, forming hypothesis, and it is followed by planning an experiment, conduct an experiment, and come to a conclusion and result. Okay, so whenever you are writing an experiment in your notebook as a part of your project work, what you will do, you will follow all these steps. You have to follow all these steps as a part of your project work also. Next, which is included in the textbook, and that is process skill, reading skills and writing skills. Process skills mean these are the steps which to be observed, which to be followed when you are performing an activity. Next, reading to learn and writing to communicate. After this, we will have a short passage of safety precautions when you are in a laboratory. Then what are the safety precautions which you should follow? So by that we will finish the first chapter, and the second chapter, which is very important even for botany and zoology subject, and that is lesson number 2, cell. And we will see about that cell and what are the parts of cell, who discovered it, everything in a brief in our next video. Okay, so until then, take care, don't be tense. Whatever the points which I have included, just note it down in your notebook. Maintain a separate notebook for it, and then write all the points. Sure, I will try to finish all the topics which is given, which is prescribed in your syllabus for your NEET examination. Okay, so if you like, or if you have any doubts related to this topic, you can comment me in the comment section. Okay, until then, take care.